and the injustices that were begun to be addressed 50 years ago. And so we name our evening YIMBY, yes, in my backyard, because in order to have more of us at the table, we need to open up the development conversation to include more people. So our topic is the development of home ownership, affordable housing. And now you have all been assigned the tables, and I would hope that you will honor your assignment. Okay, in order to promote the conversations that we have arranged to have all different fields of expertise and views of affordable ownership housing at each table. And there is a realtor scribe at each table. And if you realtors didn't know that you were the scribe, guess what? You are the scribe, okay? So the whole hope is that you will talk to each other. When I moved here 20 years ago, I think it was the most enlightened community, and I'm really hoping you'll be the most engaged community. So bankers, please talk to the educators and the zoning officers at your table and anybody else there. And builders, please talk to the bankers and the planners and the legislators and the community organizers. We have so many different voices, and we have several people from each field in this room. So the whole idea was that we could have conversations across fields, across points of view, in order to open up that creativity that makes it really special. Okay, so most of all, we ask you to listen to each other. And tonight we're going to start our listening by listening to our neighbors. And our neighbors in Corning had a very successful public-private partnership, and they will share their experience of overcoming some barriers. Then we'll move on to the statistics. Our committee looked into what exactly does the housing market look like? What are prices going? What are the buyers out there? So we'll have a little handout for you. Then we will have a great panel of people in the trenches of affordable housing that we have invited Sean Eversley Bradwell to moderate a discussion to talk about some common barriers we all encounter and some solutions. And then comes your role, okay? Of course, you're invited to ask questions all along, but towards the end of the evening, we're going to throw out the questions to you at the tables, and so please let your ideas be known. The whole hope of the evening is that you'll make some connections so that when we meet again in January or February, you'll know what your homework was because you'll find somebody else to talk to about it and that you'll be engaged. Okay? Oh, one other thing. Please turn off your telephones. And
just a reminder, since we have a tight time frame, which I've mentioned before, we don't have any scheduled breaks this evening. So please feel free to get up and reload food, beverages, use the restroom as needed. Obviously, our exits appear to both be that way. And bathroom is to the rear here. So, to get us underway, I'd like to introduce the members of the Corning Housing Partnership, who will be providing a presentation for us of their success. So we'd like to welcome Betsey Hale, President of Three Rivers Development Corporation, Bill Boland, Mayor, City of Corning, and Jeff Eaton, CEO at Arbor Housing and Development. Thank you. So they're here to present information about the Corning Housing Partnership, which represents a collaborative effort between the City of Corning, Arbor Housing Development, and Three Rivers Development Corporation to revitalize neighborhoods in the city of Cortland. Thank you for coming.
Clearly, I am not those two people, but I am get this
To see a public-private partnership work together so well is really amazing. I mean, it's a special place here.
I think it's definitely houses in a 1 block radius of our property. This program came in and eliminated them really quick.
The improvements that have been made on this block are incredible. What CHP has done together, this really truly is starting to make this block look like a neighborhood.
The improvements are dramatic, and it's had a ripple effect on some of the other houses in the neighborhood.
We're creating options for folks that love the city and want to live here and work here.
Thriving neighborhoods, vibrant housing market, diverse choices that meet the needs of all the residents of the city of Corning.
Things are happening, and you can see it. There is an intentional effort to do this, and there's a commitment to making it successful. The Corning Housing Partnership is a story about a community coming together to create a housing renaissance.
We're 3.2 square miles of area in the city of Corning. We have very few places where we can develop new housing. So we have to fix up what we have. From block to block, often what you find is distressed housing or housing in need of improvement.
The majority of our homes are older than the 1970s, and a substantial amount of those are older than the 1940s. So about 2014, the city of Corning had a housing study done that led to the city developing a strategic action plan to address the condition of the housing stock.
The housing study identified that we don't have that product that young professional families want. They want a turnkey solution.
The workers of today and in the future are looking to move back into cities, back into the hearts of the community, but they're also looking to move into housing stock that's basically ready to go.
The strategy that we're pursuing is what we call street by street. And at the heart of that strategy was for the city of Corning to enter into a public-private partnership with Three Rivers Development Corporation, the city of Corning, and Arbor Housing and Development.
When we first got started, Arbor actually took the time and they evaluated 900 homes.
They went throughout the city and identified what was happening in each of the neighborhoods.
They were able to map where can we make the biggest impact.
Once the executive team selected this first neighborhood, we began reaching out to folks. We approached everyone within a 2 block radius. Everyone was very receptive. We had participation from almost 90% of the folks. It was a real success.
Arbor's done a great job of building rapport in the neighborhoods, and they can genuinely, in a very professional way, talk to property owners. Here's some things we'd like to do.
Property owners are thrilled with the opportunity to improve their properties and for the Corning Housing Partnership to be a part of that.
We have 5 or 6 houses that were drastically changed in our neighborhood. It's increasing the value of everybody's homes because of it.
This has been a great success. We're on the north side now on our year 2 project, which is going great as well.
The pilot area on the north side is very exciting because it's on the main thoroughfare. It's kind of a gateway to Bridge Street.
When I bought this house, it was the exact same appearance from the outside as in 1975.
When I bought the house, you could definitely tell it needed some work, actually a lot of work.
New roof, new siding, the paint made it look 100% better than what it was. It's a total transformation.
They've done an absolutely amazing job. I feel like I have a new home. I'm proud of it, and I'm proud to live in Corning.
Every family wants a quality home, a home that's safe, and they want to live in great neighborhoods.
To be able to offer different housing options in these older neighborhoods and really bring them back to life citywide, and to help owners that don't have the resources to do the improvements themselves.
The partnership comes in and helps fill that gap.
We took a look at the housing projects that have been completed and those that are on the books. That total investment for housing in the community was $70 million.
It's every level of income that we're hoping to provide quality housing for. We've had market rate housing, single family homes, we've had affordable housing projects with Arbor and Lampere Court.
This is about creating safe, decent, nice housing for individuals.
Projects like the old hospital site where we have new housing going in.
We're able to put people living on that site, 24/7 energy, 1 block off of Market Street.
Academy Place, which was repurposing a beautiful old building with tremendous heritage in the city.
We were able to preserve this iconic building and yet make it a very functional, attractive living space. We now have 130, 140 market rate rentals on Market Street. When you bring public-private partnerships together, we can do things like the North Side Lodge at School. So now we have a 5-acre site on the north side.
Envision these single-family homes blending in with the neighborhood as it exists now. That's one of those few places that we have to develop.
When you only have 3.2 square miles, you've got to take advantage of every opportunity and every resource that comes available.
Those projects, they're not part of the partnership proper, but we certainly include those under that umbrella of the broader partnership.
After 2 years and after leveraging an investment of $500,000 into $1.5 million, we felt like it was time to celebrate.
worthwhile.
The partnership has made a great start. We feel confident that we now have a model for our community's housing renewal.
You could just see people have aha moments like, wow, this is really working and it is transformational.
To be able to walk the neighborhood now and see these improvements is remarkable, and it just makes you want to be a part of everything.
The Corning Housing Partnership is open for business, and we're here to really help our property owners.
What people look to see is progress. They look to see a firm example. And that was one of the reasons that we went into the demonstration area, to create something where people could come and say, here's what it used to look like, now look at it, and we can do this throughout the city.
Here's an example of the things we're trying to do, and we're going to continue to do this in the city of Corning.
We take something good that is happening on the street, and we leverage that for incentive for other property owners to improve their properties. We want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we're creating impact, and the idea is to repeat that process throughout the city.
The goal of the Corning Housing Partnership has always been to create something that's duplicatable, because we recognize that throughout New York State there are communities just like Corning that have a much bigger problem. So often communities will do studies, but very few times do you see communities that take that strategic plan and actually implement it. And that's the story of the Corning Housing Partnership. The leaders, the champions came together and said, we're going to do this.
We have people who can get projects done, and we've established that as a community over the years.
That leadership capacity is really critical for any community that wants to have a housing renaissance. This coalition of different parties coming together and sitting at the table, there's constant energy being put into the success of this program.
It gives us confidence that we can take this concept and move it into the future.
Being able to get folks invested in their community where they work and live, and a neighborhood that they can be proud of.
If you can take 6 houses in 2 city blocks and transform them all over the city of Corning,
you can really change neighborhoods. As we get into year 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we'll see some real transformation in the community.
The measure is, have we had an impact in improving that street? If we can say that, then we can move on to the next street.
Moving from one block to the next is how you really have the impact, and you change neighborhoods and you change lives.
That's it.
Again, my name is Bill Boland. I'm the mayor of Corning, and I just want to say on behalf of my partners, we're delighted to be here with you tonight. And Norma, thank you very much for inviting us and giving us an opportunity to tell you a little bit about our story of what we're doing in Corning. And we have a mantra in our effort: leverage, impact, momentum, and that is an umbrella that guides us throughout what we do. And I'd like to take the film really outlined a lot of what we're doing. I'd like to take a little bit deeper dive with you and start out by telling you a little bit about the genesis of our project. It was started by the city manager who established certain strategic priorities for our city. One of them was housing. That led to a housing study, and that study included an in-depth stakeholder engagement. The City Council approved that housing strategy that emerged from the study, and a working group of stakeholders was created. Jeff and Betsey and a group of stakeholders got together, and we just began meeting and ferreting out what our strategy meant. And we spent a wonderful weekend down in Louisville, and that's how I say it. But we spent a wonderful time down there together, bonding and getting our thoughts and actions planned out. And the ultimate result of where we went was the development of a public-private partnership agreement, and we'll be talking more about that. The vision of our project, and if I could just read this to you because I think it's powerful. A housing renaissance in Corning over the next 10 years. A community where houses throughout the city are being constantly improved. Revitalized dwellings and thriving neighborhoods with well-maintained streets and sidewalks and attractive streetscaping. A vibrant housing stock with diverse housing choices to meet the needs of all Corning citizens. And that led us to a mission. And the core of that mission is to be an active participant in a unique public-private partnership to address and engage a wide range of housing issues through a market-driven approach, and to spur investment in residential improvements using a whole block approach to maximize market impact and reclaim our neighborhoods. The market conditions that we entered into this, the film highlights, is 63% of our houses were built before 1950, and a greater percentage of that were before 1970. We felt like when we engaged in this, we had two choices. We could let our housing continue to go down, or we could fix them up, because the economy of tearing things down and rebuilding them didn't seem to work for us. So we're lucky in the city of Corning that our houses basically have good bones, so they lend themselves to be fixed up. And so we really didn't think we had a choice. We were going to fix our houses up. We really feel we're in a business of recycling houses. So we feel we're in a recycling business. The market conditions that we face for neighborhoods are largely intact, but many at a tipping point. It's just a standard view of, on any given street, a good house, a bad house, a fair house, a good house, a good house, a bad house, a bad house. And so many of our streets look like that. We have mixed inventory, and we have a large volume of rental. We have 5,000 housing units in the city of Corning, and 2,500 of them are rental. We have limited expansion opportunities. We're truly 3.2 square miles and mostly built out. So again, driven to, we really need to be fixing up our houses. And we basically have no growth in our housing industry. The unmet demand that was identified within a study was knowledge workers with families. We typically orient that to our Corning Inc. Association and the knowledge workers that come in through that channel. Young service workers with families, and seniors who are looking for more convenient living, to not have to deal with the yard, not have to deal with the sidewalk, going into a rental unit. And young professionals who are looking for the kind of amenities that they're frankly used to. Our approach was a market intervention, no doubt about it. Our effort is intervening in the marketplace, and with a focused and decisive intervention. Economic development model along a market street development approach. Basically what that means, and again, video highlighted this, was we're providing the gap financing. That's what we do in a Corning Housing Partnership. And impacting the street is the guide and the goal. And again, if you would, just think of a city street, and we pick a city street, and we say, we're going to do something, we're going to have an impact on that street. And that's our goal. So at the end of the day, when we get done, we stretch out our hands, end of the street, and we make a clear-eyed statement, judgment that we've made an impact on that street, and then we go on to the next street. The public-private partnership that was formed between the City of Corning, Arbor, and Three Rivers Development Corporation is the way forward. That's the vehicle that we're using to accomplish what we're after. The partnership is a prime mover because it develops a program, establishes relationships, organizes priorities, and runs focused programs. The Corning Housing Partnership, as I mentioned, is the City of Corning, Three Rivers Development Corporation, and Arbor Housing and Development Corporation. And if I could turn the mic over to Jeff, if you would come up and just tell a little bit about Arbor and your capabilities.
Thanks, Bill. So Arbor Housing Development is kind of a multifaceted housing organization. We do a lot of things very similar to what Ithaca NHS does. We're primarily in the southern tier of New York, which is now being labeled the Finger Lakes wine country. So I'm figuring the entrance into the wine country, so a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than the southern tier. So we've been in business for 49 years. We'll celebrate our 50th anniversary next September. Our focus had been pretty much on scattered site development throughout the five or six counties that we're working in, as well as some multifamily development. So this project really is a place-based project that was really one of our first in terms of really focusing on that neighborhood.
So anyway, Three Rivers Development Corporation is a 52-year-old economic and community development organization. We started in 1966 as a single-purpose nonprofit for the purpose of developing middle-income housing for the workers, of course, at Corning Incorporated. And in 1989, we became a corporation, or we formed a corporation, and that focus is for talent attraction, talent development, economic development, community redevelopment, and a whole host of other traditional economic development roles. So I'm just going to introduce myself right at the moment, and I'll hand it back over to the mayor.
The public partner in this partnership brings certain things to the table, and one of them is professional support. And our staff, we have two of our staff have masters in public administration and planning, so we bring that. Regulatory influence, we have those tools available to us. We are very skilled at the city level in grant opportunities and program funding, and we've actually created a tax incentive that is complementing our efforts. We can infrastructure prioritization and improvements. So one of the things that we are doing is, as we do a street, we're making sure that the streetscaping is done, the sidewalks are done, and the street is done. We have the ability to prioritize those efforts. And lastly, security. We have a great police force that makes sure that we have a safe city and that we're protecting people's property. The private partners bring investment capital, the money, development and banking relationships, market expertise, agility and flexibility. The private sector can just move so much more quickly than we can at the public level. And capacity to execute. When you have organizations like Three Rivers Development Corporation and Arbor Housing and Development, you have capacity to actually execute plans. Our guiding principles, as stated in our title slide, are leverage, impact, and momentum. And we use this as a mantra, as a guide for all of our efforts. And what we mean by that is we start out by leveraging something that good is happening on the street. That can be any number of things. That can be a major project. That can be a couple of houses that are good. But we're not necessarily looking to start at the absolute worst. We want to find something that's good going on that we can leverage to make additional improvements. And then impact, I mentioned that. We just keep saying that when we get done with the street, that we want to know that what we've done is actually made an impact. And then lastly, that will create momentum. And with that momentum, we just repeat the cycle, repeat a street, repeat the cycle, repeat on the street. And with that, I'll introduce Jeff again.
So I'm going to go through a few slides here, and I'll be brief. A couple points I really want to make as we go through this. We had a celebration in the end of September of the first 2 years of our pilot project, and so this is still a fairly small project. As we've gone through it, we talked about, Betsey in the video talked about $500,000 leveraging about $1.5 million of projects in terms of actual construction and implementation of projects. So we're operating essentially on $250,000 annual budget. And that's money that we use to leverage other private investment as well as our administration of that program. So in the first 2 years, we've completed 13 properties. We've done a couple of demos. One of them was the infamous, what we call the firehouse, that had been actually burned down vacant for about 9 years, and we were able to come in with our resources that nobody else had been able to do to kind of tear that down, and then we sold that lot to a neighbor. Corning is kind of divided by the river, north side and south side. Our first focus was really on the south side, and we identified one block, and that block kind of expanded into 2 blocks. And then as we looked at some other properties that kind of gave us some of that momentum and leverage and impact, we added 3 properties on another street. So we've done more on the south side than the north side. Our 3rd year is we're back on the north side, focusing on the north side project. So really, the concept is we really want to create housing that is turnkey, that people can move into, that are completely renovated. What we wanted to stay away from is kind of the typical approach of many of our funding sources, where you get enough money to do a roof, or maybe you get money to do, in terms of public funding, you do some siding, but you really don't take a look at the house in terms of having an impact on the entire exterior of the house as well as the interior. And we also wanted to do clustering, so we didn't want to do scattered site where we did, one property here, and then 5 blocks away we did another one, and 10 blocks away we did another one, because you're not really having the impact on that community. The real premise of approach has been, as Betsey had mentioned in the video, we initially did about 900 housing evaluations in 4 of our neighborhoods. We're now about 1,300. And essentially what we did is we created a grading system where we had 6 levels, black being the property really needs to be demoed, to dark green, where dark green is, gosh, you can move in this house, you wouldn't have to do anything, just move your furniture and maybe wash the windows or something. So we took a look at what those neighborhoods or blocks were that we thought would have the greatest benefit, and we identified First Street, and you can see some stars, yellow and purple stars designating some of the houses we took a look at. This was really the critical piece in terms of having that focus and then giving us really something to look at, to say we have a visual that, gosh, we have, do we want to do a block of all black houses, or do we want to do a block of all greens and 1 yellow, or do we want to do something that's going to have some impact? So we really focus on the middle of our color scheme of, so dark green, light green, purple, red, and we focus kind of in those middle colors to say let's have as much impact as we can. So many of the organizations such as ours that do housing programs and housing renovations, we have our before and after pictures, and I'm just going to flip through these pretty quickly in terms of this is what the property looked like before and what it looked like after. And the unique thing about this project is that there is no cookie cutter. So every one of the properties that we did had different dynamics. We put different amounts of money in, different percentages of money in. Some were owned by landlords and they were rentals, and they just needed some extra funds to fix up the exterior. So in one project, we actually, it was a $137,000 project. We put $17,000 in, but the investor had already done the inside but couldn't fix up the outside. And so just putting new siding and doing some work on the exterior significantly changed that particular house. This particular one here is a homeowner, dramatic difference. And the other dynamic in this is that not only did we get significant renovations to the exterior of his house, but he became more engaged. And so he was out for the first time in his yard, doing things in his yard and saying, gosh, I'm feeling really good about my house and what's going on. And the last point of this one is that in the city of Corning, similar to the city of Ithaca, you're going to have a lot of infill development and houses very close to each other. And we initially looked at this house and said, let's tear it down and create space for the houses on both sides. And our mayor said, no, this is a city project. You're going to have houses close to each other, and convinced us that we really needed to work with the homeowner to renovate the house, which is what we did, and what a great difference. So this is a house. Another part of the model is we actually bought this house. So the partnership bought this house We're renovating it, and then we're flipping it. Right now it's on the market to sell. That'll generate money back into the partnership. Yeah, just some of the stuff we're doing. This house had the entire house essentially been done except for the stairs. We helped out with new stairs. This is a $500,000 project for rentals as well as commercial. In each property, we have a sliding scale in terms of how much money we'll put into it. And so this one, we have $25,000, but that creates some gap and allowed that developer then to move forward with that project. Again, another before and after, same concept. This is one of the houses on the north side, significant difference. We do a variety of different kinds of things from inside work as well as outside work. And we have some houses, pipeline projects that we're also working on. Again, some on the north side. One of the other benefits we talk about, the kind of the three-legged stool of Arbor and the city and Three Rivers, but we've also really worked hard to bring in other partners. This is a house that we're working with Habitat's event. So Habitat, we've actually given them money to help with this house, but we've actually given them vacant lots. So we've acquired property and worked with them in terms of giving them a vacant lot so they can build houses or do renovations. Again, just other houses that we're working on in terms of our pipeline. And I'll turn it over to Betsey.
Okay, so I'm the closer, and I'll go quick. Okay, so you saw in the video that we also talked about some greater partnership opportunities. First thing I want to do is I also want to, just before we started the video, one of our city councilors, Allison Hunt, came in, and Allison kind of has dual hats tonight. Not only is she representing the city of Corning, but she actually represents Congressman Reed's office. And you saw Congressman Reed in there. He was a big supporter of our Lanphier Court project and was part of our ribbon cutting and everything. So thank you, Allison, for being here. So some of the other projects that we've worked on, War Memorial Library was actually a project that Three Rivers did. We had an old War Memorial Library. We came in and put 4 market rate apartments in that. Our role as Three Rivers was we had a private developer. Again, he needed gap financing. We happened to own a piece of real estate that we weren't looking at as an economic development organization utilizing it for anything. So we actually allowed him to utilize our land as collateral to do his gap financing. So again, not the traditional way of doing things, but it was a way to get the deal done. Lanford Court Apartments, that's one of Jeff's projects, the Lanford Court Townhomes. Academy Place Apartments, that's the old school building that you saw. That actually had historic preservation tax credits, so if any of you use those kind of resources. Northside Blodgett is a project that we're working on right now. This might be of interest to you guys. We took down the school, the middle school there. We're actually working with a developer, Arbor, and we're also working with Corning Enterprises, and I'll talk about them in a little bit. And we're actually going to be doing condo single-family homes. And the reason that we're doing a condo for single-family homes is that it reduces the taxes, the property taxes for the homeowners, the single-family owners, by almost 50%. So if you think about it, putting up a $250,000 home in the city of Corning, the taxes would probably be somewhere around $12,000. So by doing a condo association where the owner of the property maintains the property, the land, and then they have their single-family home, it takes those taxes down to about $6,000. So again, it's a young family, they want to go into a brand new home. If they're paying taxes that are $12,000 a year, that's a lot of money. So again, another innovative approach. The hospital site was the old Corning Hospital. It's going to be multifamily. That's the one right off of Market Street. And then the land bank, I don't know if Tompkins County has a land bank, but I think we've done 3 land bank homes. And so the total $72 million. The key thing to point out, and I'm going to tell you this over and over again, this is a 10-year project. Okay, yes, we're only putting $250,000 in. By the way, the $200,000 comes from Corning Enterprises, which is the economic development and government arm of Corning Incorporated. And then the $50,000 that we received from the city's money is utilized only for administration of the project. So there's really actually only $200,000 that's going into the projects. Our largest grant is $25,000, and it is a grant. There's no clawback. If the person sells the home, our goal is to improve these block by block approach to improve the housing stock. So that individual buys the house, we help them fix it up. They're going to sell it because the house isn't going anywhere. So it's still going to add value. So we feel like in 10 years we'll have invested $2.5 million, and hopefully that will do the same thing. And so that'll be another $5 million that goes into those neighborhoods as we continue this on. So be in it for the long haul. It is a lot of work. The first year was horrible. Not the first year of the pilot. The first year we started this thing, that was 3 years ago. And that was just getting everybody in the room. That was getting everybody talking. So it's going to take determination, vision, clarity, persistence. You've got to get everybody in the room. It's got to be adequately funded. But again, it's $250,000. It's not like we went in there with $5 million and we're just, we're looking for other opportunities. And so when we all came together and we had the proposal and the partnership with Corning Enterprises, it's really worked. And as an economic development professional, I was not a big fan about doing housing. So I can tell you that it's changing people's lives. We had a broader coalition of stakeholders. Bringing Habitat and Community Progress Inc. to the table has been a game changer, because when we knock houses down, Habitat can build a house. The broad coalition is focused and prioritized. The thing that's going to be important as we continue is finding contractors, because we're losing a lot of talent in carpentry and things like that. So that has been one thing that has oftentimes delayed our projects, is they're working on other sites. So you got to be sure that you're developing people in that industry as well and building relationships. And of course, as the mayor talked about, the impact on the street. It's got to make a difference. I would encourage you to all come down to Corning and take a look, and I would especially ask you to walk through the alleys, because people always forget that the house is 4 sides, and people see the house from the alleys too. So folks that made it happen, who I want to say a big thank you to, again, Allison, thank you so much. To all of the city council there in Corning. We're going to actually be updating this video, and there'll be some more city councilors talking about their neighborhoods and what's happened in their neighborhoods. The city manager, Mark Reichman, has done a great job of continuing to move forward with this. Corning Enterprises, Tom Trainer, the president of Corning Enterprises, was a tremendous leader, and I know some of you know him through the regional council work that he does. Jeff's board, my board, and we do have a 17-member steering committee. It's made up of bankers, it's made up of realtors, it's made up of homeowners, influencers, I guess you would call them, and elected officials, Jeff's board members, my board members. I think it's critical that you have a diverse board, that you have a lot of people. We have gotten the Community Foundation involved. Reach out to some of these unique entities that you would never get engaged, have conversations with different foundations that, you're not looking for $100,000. You're looking for, $25,000 to add with somebody else's $25,000 to get to $50,000. And in closing, it's not easy, it's not quick, and just look for those great partners. And it is, at the end of the day, all about money. We call it OPM, other people's money. So just remember, just find that great partner. And I went to Cornell, and we always say you always can tell a Cornellian, but you can't tell them much. Sorry to anybody else that went to Cornell. But, no kidding. And in any event, I think you can find great partners in this community, because when I was at Cornell, great things happened for me. And that was a long time ago. I actually lived in a co-op, Trip-Hemmer Co-op. But I think there's some huge opportunities here, and the first thing is what you're doing right now, is getting everybody in the room, and you have to have leadership capacity. It's so great to see Martha here tonight, because when you've got the chair of your legislature in the room, willing to talk about this, willing to sit down with your leaders from the city, and I don't know if the mayor was here or some of our city councilors I think are here, this is the start of it. There's our economic development professional. Heather, thank you for being here, and we'll let you move on, because I know you're on a tight timeline. But thank you so much.